Of all the themes, all the topics Tim Keller preached and wrote about over the course of nearly 50 years, I think his teaching shone brightest when the topic was darkest. When it comes to the topic of pain and suffering, his teaching sings, and so much of what he says about suffering is so beautifully and uniquely Christian, meaning only a Christian could think that way or talk that way or live that way or ultimately die that way. Keller would talk about suffering as a furnace, and a furnace can do one of two things. It can either burn you to a crisp or it can burn away the dross and enable you to emerge stronger, more beautiful, more radiant because of what you experienced in the heat. And at one point in one sermon, Keller made the observation from Isaiah 43, when you pass through the fire, he will be with you, and the flames will not set you ablaze. And in quintessential Keller language, he said, it's almost like Isaiah saying that you will be in the heat, but the heat will not be in you. And of all the things that Keller preached, I think the most powerful sermon, the most powerful message he ever delivered was that of his own life and ultimately his death. He was diagnosed in 2020 with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, a very aggressive form of cancer. And the way that he suffered and even spoke about his suffering, at one point saying, my biggest fight is not with cancer, it's with sin. I'm going to die of something at some point, but I'm fighting my sin because I want to be ready to meet a holy God and to be with him forever. Or the way he talked about what he and Kathy were learning in even those final months together about how short-sighted and foolish it is to try to make a heaven out of this earth. With Kathy, that was sometimes through vacations, and with Tim, it was with ministry productivity. But what they found was a counterintuitive lesson that actually when you stop trying to make a heaven out of this earth and you treat the real heaven as heaven and earth as a gift from God, you're actually freed to enjoy it for what it is, to enjoy the good gifts of what God has provided. And so at the very end of his life, among his final words, he said to his family, I'm just ready to see Jesus. I want to see Jesus. Send me home. And so I think we can learn and be instructed by and ultimately praise God for the way that Keller, in his own suffering and in his own death, adorned the gospel he loved to proclaim.